deck screen, probably. So Crosscraft is, like the kind of name implies, a format where you get to mash, basically stick two classes together. And I'll go into the deck edit screen to kind of show the things. So when you're making a deck, you pick a primary class and a secondary class. And in the primary class of the deck, you have to and what this dictates is basically how many cards from that deck you have to have. So you can't make it. So, for example, this deck is a primary Portalcraft, secondary Swordcraft. Secondary Swordcraft, and it so I need to have at least 24 Portalcraft cards and 9 Swordcraft cards. Obviously, it's a standard 40-card deck, so you can use neutrals to fill out the spaces, or just other cards of the classes. As you see, I've got a few more Swordcrafts than you need minimum of, as it is the things. And yeah, it just lets you do really silly things. So this is kind of like going to be a mini deck guide. I might actually put this up on YouTube just as a fun thing, because I haven't had a chance to really put up I haven't had a deck guide to put up on YouTube in a while. So you're watching from YouTube. This is the intro. This is my Shadowverse deck guide to Crosscraft, Portalcraft, Swordcraft, Golden Puppets, as I call it. Or mostly it's just a very weird version of Quickblader Sword. So, which oh no, yeah, the Quickblader Sword guide I did has been lost. I need to actually like go and do video editing to actually pull out from the actual video files because I screwed up. Oops. But anyway, so the core card, this one's a bit more like built around Golden Warrior. It's a Crosscraft deck that I used in the last Crosscraft, which would have been last set, but this is just a newer version because it still works pretty well. A lot of the core cards are still in rotation. So it's built around Golden Warrior, specifically about the Arthurian Light that it summons. Golden Warrior, of course, being a 3 play point 2/3 that Fountainer puts a random spell from your deck into your hand, and on Evolve summons Arthurian Light, which is a 5 play point commander amulet that the commander trait doesn't really matter here, but it can matter in certain situations. Whenever an ally follower that originally costs 1 play point comes into play, I remember it's exactly originally 1 play point. Give it Storm, and that's also summon a Knight, which is of course a 1 play point follower, so we get Storm. So the main interaction of the deck is built around combining that with Enhanced Puppets, which are of course 1 play point followers, so they get Storm, but they're also 3/3s. So it's basically a very aggressive deck that aims to just run your opponent over with a lot of damage from Storm Enhanced Puppets. And to that end, basically got a lot of cards that generate Enhanced Puppets. It's got Tinkering Shopkeeper, which is a standard 1 play point 1/1 that gives you Enhanced Puppet on last words, and the Fanfare is quite handy for healing up. Craftsman's Pride, obviously, is a very good versatile spell for getting puppets. Puppets themselves, because it's 0 play points and not 1 play point, they do not get Storm, so you don't have to worry about, like, if you do generate puppets off Craftsman's Pride, you don't have to worry about saving them for Storm damage. You can just use them to trade, and you should. Yeah, you usually get Enhanced Puppets and either a Puppet or a Forged Weaponry, because Forged Weaponry is again very useful to push some damage, especially with your cheap Enhanced Puppets that have Storm, and also with Swift Speed Quickblader, who's mostly in the deck as like an additional extra bit of insurance. He's a really good way to finish off your opponents, because you can get Forged Weaponries from Craftsman Pride, and you also have Angel's Grace to buff as well. Compared to like Quick Blader Sword normal. It doesn't like run stuff like Bad Up Katha because it usually tries to win the game before you have the chance to actually spend that many Evo points. But I can see you, but her fitting into this deck. So the Angel's Grace is just a nice handy little thing to get past like walls of wards, which can be quite a thing in a few of the decks currently in the crosscraft meta, especially the things built around Discard Dragon, because if they set up a wall of wards that are wall of like noirs and blanks, then there's pretty much nothing you can do about it, because you're going to have to spend a lot of resources that you could otherwise be used killing your opponent and trading into their big wards. And like this particular version of the deck I have has no board clear whatsoever. It's entirely an aggressive variant. But you can add them. But yeah, it's just your usual. It gets past wards and buffs, which obviously works very well with Swift Speed Quick Blader, but also still works well with your enhanced puppets as well, for giving you just more reach. And Penguin Guardian is another handy little 1/1. It's a 1 ward with Fanfare put a Great Shield into your hand, which can be a bit clunky. It can like clog up your board space a little. So it's iffy, but not your board space, but your hand space actually. Because it's a 2 point amulet that Fanfare gives an allied swordcraft follower +0/+1, which is fine. And last with summons a Shield Guardian, and like usually it's like you'll usually only put Great Shields into your hand. You'll only be playing. The main reason you play Penguin Guardian is because it has this Rally 5 gain +2/+2. So it gains, and because it's a 1 playpoint follower, it gains Storm from the Arthurian Light. So it's a 1 playpoint. It becomes a 1 playpoint 3/3. So it's like another it's like an enhanced puppet that sticks around really in that case, that has ward, so that can help you out quite a lot. The Great Shield can be a bit of an awkward card. It doesn't really help your deck in any meaningful way apart from increasing your rally count, but so it'll usually just sit in your hand and clog up your hand space a bit, but the bonuses of the Penguin Guardian on getting this +2/+2 makes it worth it. Also, you can just play. It makes for a very good curve on your early turns, because you can play a Penguin Guardian on turn 1, then just as a board presence. Then, if it survives until your second turn, which is a lot easier if you're going first, but still pretty common if you're going second. Then you can play the Great Shield, which of course buffs it and makes another follower afterwards, which is of course another 1/1 ward. It can just generally be a good early presence on the field. So basically that's your turn, and that can easily be your turns 1 and 2 sorted in a single card, which is quite nice. It's quite efficient in that regard. But later turns you probably will just keep the Great Shield in your hand unless you've got the board space and play points spare for it. Other cards so the other important Boss Puppeteer is just another way to get more enhanced puppets into your hand, because on Evo she generates 2 enhanced puppets, which is quite nice, and also a single puppet for trolling board Ord Little as well. Nothing else much to say. Just a neat, handy little way to get more enhanced puppets, which of course you want to kill your opponent with. Dwarf Engineer is a 2 playpoint 1/3, who's mostly here to get you Doll Operation, which is a 1 playpoint spell that gives a random puppet in your hand +4/+0. And enhance, you put 2 puppets into your hand and then give 2 random puppets in your hand +4/+0. On the Enhanced 7 on this card will not be used in this deck at all. You never play this card for Enhanced 7, because the main thing you want to do is buff a enhanced puppet, but of course if you play it on the Enhanced 7, then the 2 puppets you're adding to your hand are not enhanced puppets and thus won't get Storm. So this is just a nice easy way to make a very dangerous enhanced puppet, because even one of these spells will give you an enhanced puppet that is a 7/3, So now that's a 7/3 storm for 1, which is a lot of damage. That's the main reason Dwarf Engineer is here. It's also a quite handy early game because it's a 2-play.13, which is a nice stat line for just like helping control the board or just sticking around to get some early chip damage in. Licht is mainly here as another way of getting an enhanced puppet whilst also getting a normal puppet for board control. This is a very aggressive deck, so you won't hit those 20 allied followers destroyed. And like by the time that if a game does last, games don't last long enough for that to happen, for you to like have this as really being a backup in Crosscraft. It's a very fast format in the overall. Even like the control-y decks kind of like just play something ludicrous that kills you instantly by fairly quickly compared to normal formats. It can be a bit of extra healing as well with his evolved effect. It's just a nice 3-play.23, not the greatest of stats, but fine on his own. And you start getting a few more things that are designed to like kill with Golden Warrior. Like Merciless Voiding is very good with the Arthurian Light active because both the Ancient Artifact and the Analyzing Artifact are 1 play point followers, so they both get Storm. So that can just push another 5 damage whilst also being a card that cycles because of the Analyzing Artifact. There's another reason why I've got Inner Discovery, which again, the Analyzing Artifact gets Storm, and it's a card it cycles through, so it gets so it can get you through your deck to make sure you find the pieces that actually kill your opponent faster. And then Jetpack Gunner can do an absolutely absurd amount of damage with Arthurian Light on the field, because of course when he attacks multiple times a turn, so there's a 4-play.24 Storm, with Enhance 6, gain the ability to attack 2 times per turn, and Enhance 8, gain the ability to attack 3 times per turn instead. And what's important is that he has, when evolved, he has this Strike, Summon an Ancient Artifact, which of course is, as we just already said, is a 1 play point follower. That's a 3/1. So that gets Storm from the Arthurian Light, which means this can quite easily do a lot of damage just on his own, even on Enhanced 6. Because like Enhanced 6, that's 8 plus 6. That's 8 plus 6 damage. That's 14 damage from a single card, which is quite strong. Of course, that's like your entire turn, but like if you've been hitting your opponent down with enhanced puppets for a few turns, then Jetpack Gunner is by far one of your best ways to finish your opponent. So like it's usually how this deck goes is you'll hit your opponent a few times with some enhanced puppets, and then you'll finish them off with either Jetpack Gunner or a buffed Swift Speed Quickblader. And then I think I've gone through the main reasoning behind every other card apart from General Maximus, which is the new card who's mostly here to be a he can be in Crosscraft. He's actually proven really good because of course he can tutor specific Swordcraft followers. Because he only pulls Swordcraft followers, so when most of your deck isn't Swordcraft followers, you can have a very versatile deck that still has a very specific pull from General Maximus. And here our specific pull is pulling Golden Warrior. So like, Golden Warrior is our only 3-cost Swordcraft follower in the deck. We've got a bit of variation on 2 costs, because honestly, whether it pulls Swift Speed Quickblader is mostly just as a handy pull to get a bit of extra storm damage in, and Taketsumi will just be a 2-3 rush when pulled through General Maximus, which is still fine. But yeah, General Maximus is just another way to give some consistency, mostly a way to give some consistency to the deck, so that you can more easily guarantee getting Golden Warrior and playing the Arthurian Light. And of course, the 1 playpoint follower he will only pull is Penguin Guardian. So I've got a couple of him, because he's better when you're going when you're going second, because obviously then your Evo turn is turn 5 anyway. Whilst Golden Warrior is generally better. No, General Maximus is better going first, whilst Golden Warrior is usually better going second. But generally, when mulliganing for the deck, you'll generally want to mulligan for either to make sure you've either got Golden Warrior or General Maximus, because the deck is really without that Arthurian light, the deck is in a really rough spot. I don't think I explained Takatsumi, but he's fairly standard. He's mostly there for Evo point recovery and board control with Hero of the Hunt. And that's because obviously you want to make sure you have an Evo point for either your Swift Speed Quickblader or your Jetpack Gunner, so just having a little bit of Evo, some cheap Evo point recovery. Because with the combined efforts of Swordcraft cards and puppets, you hit Rally 10 really fast, so that means your Takatsumi recovers Evo points, and Craftsman's Pride, and Forged Weaponry gives its full buff, which is obviously very important. Like, there's a few other cards you can kind of shuffle things around. Like, I'm already thinking of, I'm going to do a bit of editing now, because I think I'm going to take out the... This is a problem, really, because if I take out Inner Discovery, I need to replace it with Portalcraft cards, because I need to hit this 24/24. I really think I need to put Bumpkin Recruit into the deck to give it some more consistency, but I'm not sure what I want to take out is the problem. Because I found that Angel's Grace is really important, because otherwise you get really destroyed by like wards. So I might take out Merciless Voiding. I have to take out Swordcraft on neutral cards. Taking out Swift Speed Quickblader might be an option, to be honest, because it's less important to the deck, but I still think it's really useful to have, so maybe I'll just replace, like, the Penguin Guardian I've found is quite nice, but might be better at getting a bit more consistency out of the Bumpkin Recruit. I'm thinking I might replace the Inner Discovery. Like, Revised Experiment is another way to get enhanced puppets into your hand, but then again it doesn't do that, so I think I was going to take out... Yeah, I'm going to try doing this. I'm going to take out the Dwarf Engineers, increase the amount of... So I'm just going to do this because I just want to, before I go into some games, because I want to try this out. So I want to add some cycle, because I've had a few games where even with what I have currently, I still haven't drawn Golden Warrior or General Maximus by turns 4 or 5, which in case the deck just dies, it doesn't really do much. So I'm just doing this to kind of like add a bit of a bit more consistency into the deck. So let's save that. That's the end of the deck guide. If you're watching this on YouTube, if I've remembered to export this, please like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And check out my streams on twitch.tv/KurosamiVT. Boosh.